So for me as a child, ghazal was never just music. It was my entire childhood. I still remember those beautiful Sunday afternoons as a child, as an 8-year-old, when my dad would just pick some beautiful cassette of either Ghulam Ali Sahab or Jagjit Singh Ji or Talat Aziz Ji or Mehdi Hasan Sahab, and that cassette would just play the entire day. So, way before I actually understood the meaning of words like khalish, ishq, or intizar, I actually felt them. So I fell in love with the genre so much that as a postgraduate student of journalism and mass communication, it became my thesis. It was what I did my research project on, ghazals in Bollywood, with a special focus on Jagjit Singh Sahab, who we had just lost. So today's episode is very, very personal. My guest today is somebody who is grace and tehzeeb in the world of reels. And for the younger generation, you can relate to him as the person who played Hrithik Roshan's father in the film Fighter. A singer, an actor, a keeper of grace in the world of reels. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome a veteran ghazal singer who's like a father figure to me, Talat Aziz ji.
Hi, I'm Talat Aziz. Namaste, Adab. And you're watching me on Between the Notes with Soumya Vajpayee. Soumya and me go a long way back. She is like a daughter to me, and she's a lovely person, very much into music and musicians. And I really appreciate even the title of her show, this podcast, Between the Notes, is very, very interesting because everything happens between the notes. श्रुतियाँ होती हैं दो सुर के बीच में. So that is very important in music. So Soumya, wish you all the best, and I hope your podcast goes a long way.
Hi Talat sir. You have no idea how much happiness saying this gives me, but welcome to Between the Notes with Soumya Vajpayee. So sir, there are very few musicians who might have had the honor of learning from the legendary Mehdi Hasan Sahab. So I would love to know what was learning from him like? What was being his shagird like?
I met Mehdi Hasan Sahab in 1977 when I was very young. I was in Toronto. He was there on a private visit. We met in somebody's house. He heard me and he told me that, you have a good voice, but you need proper guidance. So I would like to tie the sacred thread Ganda, and you become my shagird, my shishya, then I can teach you properly. I don't know, I never thought about it, but that's what happened. He said, I'm coming to India next year, 78. You meet me. To cut a long story short, he came, he sought me out. He was very much in demand, but still, he remembered, sought me out, tied the Gandha. I became formally his shagird. After that, he used to take me to all his concerts, make me sit on the stage with him, listen. First thing in music is listening, and then trying to understand what it is about.
Sir, are there any teachings from him that continue to stay with you even today?
The thing which stays with me about his teaching is the emphasis on the proper pronunciation of the ghazal as well as the proper enunciation of the sur लगाना और सुर लगाकर कैसे छोड़ना कि उसकी आस रहे. That I can say that there was nobody like him. And he used to sit down and Sina Bazina, and whenever we had the time, he would teach me. He would say a phrase and ask me to repeat it and then correct me with that. कि ये नहीं ऐसा है ऐसा है. And that's how I picked up. It took me time.
So, was there anything peculiar about him, anything so specific to him that just cannot be replicated?
You see, the specific style of his singing is very difficult to encapsulate. But I would say in a very a great ustad, I won't name him now, one of the greatest ustads classical दुनिया में, he just said one thing which I remember, he told me this. He said, बेटा गाना तो सभी गाते हैं, सब गाते हैं, और यूजुअली गाने में दो किस्म के गाने होते हैं, 2 types of singing. एक है कूजे को समंदर बनाना, तो इतनी सी जगह है उसको फैलाकर इतना करना, और दूसरा जो मुश्किल, द मोर डिफिकल्ट पार्ट इज getting that samandar, that the sea of music, compressing it into one sur, one note. Like if you say sa, it encapsulates all the shrutis and the reverberation, the tonal quality, it reflects on that one sa, which is most difficult. Because you go into that pitch, and then you realize that how deep it is, the sound. और अगर सा लगाए आप तो पंचम की आस या गंधार की आस समझ में आ रही है. So that is what was different about him, कि वो सुर लगाते थे, ऐसा लगाते थे कि पक्का सुर. This was a gift from God, which I think that's only thing I can think of. And of course मेहनत है उसके बाद. He really worked very hard. रियाज किया. His family, his Chacha Ismail Khan, his uncle, I mean, he was a hard taskmaster, what he told me. And one day when God took everything away from him, he lost his voice, he was sick, he was in bed, he couldn't move, he was sad. And so I used to tell him, Khan Sahab, we cannot help your physical condition, this is God's will. ये आपकी तकदीर में लिखा है. But one thing I would like to say is that what you have given to this world with your art, with your music, nobody can take that away from you. गालिब का एक किस्सा याद आता है मुझे. One of his friends, मिर्जा तुफ्ता नाम था उनका, and he came and started praising गालिब कि भाई मिर्ज़ा आप जैसा शायर तो है नहीं कोई. मतलब कहते हैं कि गालिब का है अंदाज़ बयां और his own line. तो गालिब said something which is very deep. He said, देखो तुफ्ता, लोगों के मानने से नहीं होता है, लोगों के मानने से नहीं होता कुछ. वक्त की छलनी से जो छन कर कलाम शायर का जिंदा रहे, उसके कोई माने हैं. वक्त की छलनी. Whatever art stands the test of time and still is alive in people's hearts. That is the real art. So in music, that's what I say, कि आज लोग मेहदी साहब की गज़लियात गाते हैं, बच्चे भी गाते हैं, रंजिशी से ही. Kids sing that they've never met him, they've just heard. And जब भी आप छेड़ते हैं रंजिश, तालियां बजना शुरू हो जाती हैं. So this is the contribution he had to the ghazal world. And he told me one thing, कि I remember this, कि बेटा मेरी खुशबू तुम में आई है अभी. Now it is your duty to carry this forward.
So, sir, in this particular interview, thanks to you, we got to understand so many anecdotes about the lesser known trivia about Umrao Jan and your ghazal, Zindagi Jab Bhi Teri Bazm Mein. So, sir, this is one ghazal that continues to be so timeless and so evergreen that, the moment you hum it, the audience continues and they finish it off. So, sir, I would love to know, was there anything particular about recording this ghazal with Khayyam Sahab that continues to stay with you? Because we know the rigorous routine it had and how much you had to really, how you got this ghazal, and then, of course, how you, just lived up to the requirements of Khayyam Sahab, which was never easy. So, I would love to know how this ghazal happened.
I met Khayyam Sahab in 1978 at a private mehfil in Mumbai. I was singing. He was there, Soraya ji was there, Mrs. Madan Mohan. It was a private mehfil and I was just a young wannabe. So he told me that, beta, you have a good voice. When I get a chance, I'm going to record you in a film. I said, gee, thank you. And I forgot about it because, you never know what happened. But he called me in 1980 when he got the film Umrao Jaan. And उसमें एक ही गज़ल थी, which was Male, sung by Farooq Saab. And he wanted me to sing that. जिंदगी जब भी तेरी बज़ में लाती है हमें, ये ज़मीं चांद से बेहतर नज़र आती है हमें. So this was something which the recording I did. I remember कि उस ज़माने में क्या था कि you had to sing live. You had the audience, the orchestra in the studio playing with you. And if you did a mistake, you made a mistake, it had to be redone right from the top. So Khayyam Saab was very particular about rehearsals before going into the studio. I think 15-20 days he must have called me to his house in Juhu. And I did this Umrao Jaan. उसमें एक जगह है, जिंदगी जब भी तेरी बज़्म में लाती है हमें, ये ज़मीं चांद से बेहतर नजर आती है हमें, जिंदगी जब तेरी बज़्म में. See here, bazm is one word and me. Bazm is a gathering of people, like-minded people, bazm. और उसमें तो बज़्म में कैसे उन्होंने साथ रखा, बज़्म ही नहीं किया. जिंदगी जब भी तेरी बज़्म में, एंड दैट जगह चांद, ये ज़मीं चांद से पामागा, कंड कहते हैं उसे. So he made me rehearse this about 15-20 times. So I asked him, Khayyam Saab, what is the importance? Why are you stressing so much? He was a perfectionist, everybody knows, and his one more take is famous. So he said, beta, listen, क्या है, लाइन क्या है, ये ज़मीं चांद से बेहतर नज़र आती है हमें. So where is the moon? High up in the sky. उसकी किरणें जो आएंगी, they'll come from top to bottom to the earth. So I'm trying to replicate that. चांद से बेहतर नजर आती है हमें, जिंदगी जब भी.
So why do you think this song continues to live on? I remember you mentioning that किसी भी कॉन्सर्ट में आप जब ये गाते हैं तो आप शुरू करते हैं और ऑडियंस कंटिन्यू करती है. So आपको क्या लगता है कि what is it about this ghazal which is so special that it continues to be evergreen?
Exactly what Ghalib said. It's not me. It's a combination of everything. जो कलाम, जो काम वक्त की छलनी से छनकर अगर उसके बाद जिंदा रहे तो उसके माने हैं. वही है. अभी भी मैं जब जाता हूँ कॉन्सर्ट्स में, मैं जब ये गाता हूँ, एक लाइन गाता हूँ, जिंदगी जब भी, तो ऑडियंस सिंग्स द नेक्स्ट वन, तेरी बज़्म. They know that. Although most of them were not even born or were very young when this was recorded. So this is the beauty which I think I'm very blessed that I was part of this. It's become a classic.
So sir, in 1982, you were just 26 when you got Phir Chidi Raat Baat Phoolon Ki in Bazaar. Now, for a 26-year-old who gets an opportunity to get into the same recording room as Lata Mangeshkar ji, I can only imagine how excruciating that pressure would have been. So, how did you navigate that entire space of not letting that pressure overwhelm you, the pressure of her stardom, her presence, her demeanor, her talent. I mean, it's very easy for a young singer who's just like barely 1 year old in the Hindi film space, because you had only sung Umrao Jan till then, and this was the very next year. So please, I would love to know how that entire zone was.
Again, I was a young kid, and in those days, both the singers used to be in the same room. Bombay Lab, I remember the studio. I was very nervous, and she was standing right next to me, and the whole orchestra and the conductor was giving us the cues. We were rehearsing. Then I just told her, Lataji, I'm very nervous. So she said, Kyun? Why are you nervous? You sing very well. And it just came out. I said, Aapne kab suna mujhe? When did you hear me? Just like that. But she remembered because I had sung for a television show, Doordarshan, in those days, on a show called ROE. It was during the time of black and white TV. And she remembered that, and she said, I've heard that you on that show, ROE, on Doordarshan, and this is what you sang. She remembered that. She was trying to make me feel confident, and that was her greatness. And there was an interesting incident where, after 3 or 4 takes, we heard Khayyam Saab on the headphone. Ki Baba, very nice, beautiful, lovely. And Lataji was standing there without an expression, just looking at me and saying, Abhi aayenge wo. I said, Ji, you just watch. And on that cue, Khayyam Saab entered the music room where the singers sing. In those days, I had a big room. And he came with his style and he said, Lataji, wah, 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 kya baat aap logon ne, kya kamal ga diya, beautiful. And she had no expression. She knew what was coming next. But he said, ek aur. And then she looked at me with that mischievous smile. See, what did I tell you? These are the moments I remember with the great legends.
So in 1979, it was very surprising that instead of a music label, it was Jagjit Singh Ji who bagged your album. Everybody knows that he was like an elder brother to you. So what was it about that time, your voice, that particular album that you all were working on, that convinced him with that kind of a confidence in you to come up with that album? I would love to know about that.
I had met Jagjit Bhai in 1975 when he came to Hyderabad for a concert. He had come to my house. I had invited him for lunch. And he came with Chitra Ji. He heard me and then he said, if you want to ever do anything in this field, you'll have to move to Bombay. Which I did. So when I first started my career and I signed the contract with Polydor India in 79, today known as Universal, I called Jagjit Bhai on the phone. I said, Bhai Sahab, I've signed my contract and I have to record an album. So he said, where are you? I said, I'm in the office of Polydor. So he said, come over. So I went to his house, Pushpa Milan, in Breach Candy, Borden Road. And I told him, I have no experience in this. Would you be kind enough to compose and present this album for me? He thought for a moment, he said, done. I only had one request. I said, there's one ghazal which I sing, Kaise Sukun Paun, in my own tune. Forget that. You compose that in your tune, but please keep this ghazal. And the rest of the ghazals, your choice, completely yours. And he did that, a wonderful job. We recorded in 79, released the album 1980 on his birthday in February. And that album became, I don't know how, it's a hit. Even today people remember that. कैसे सुकून पाऊँ तुझे देखने के बाद, क्या मिलेगा किसी को किसी से, वगैरह वगैरह, बहुत सारी 8 ghazals. I would like to thank Jagjit Bhai for this. And of course after that it's your luck, your mehnat, and career started, and that was a time.
Sir, you and Jagjit Singh are both known for modernizing the ghazal. So back in the day when you all would work together, was there any line that was very clear that, this is the extent to which we will modernize it? And these are the certain liberties that we will never take in terms of over commercializing the ghazal or losing, or with the fear of losing the sanctity of Urdu shairi.
Yes, Jagjit Bhai was the one who introduced instruments like the guitar, modern instruments, keyboards, saxophone. In my first album, Kaise Sukoon Paun, if you listen to that recording, you can hear the saxophone playing. Saxophone being played in a ghazal would have been impossible to think of in the olden days. But he did that because his style of working was very innovative. He used to compose the music himself. He would write. He was a very good composer. He would write the scores on and give it to the musicians. कि This is yours. This is your part. This is your part. संतूर का part है, saxophone का part है. First seconds when I'm singing, the saxophone is following me in my song, in my ghazal, in the tune. So it's really amazing. I, in my own way, have done a bit. I've used violins, modern instruments, but without losing the soul of the ghazal or the tune or the composition. That is important.
As much as I've known you, I've seen that you have this beauty of living up to relationships like nobody else. I have felt it personally as your daughter. So back in the day, when you started bonding with Jagjit ji, tell us about that entire journey of him becoming your elder brother. What was your bond with him like?
I've got some really good memories of Jagjit Bhai. He was very fond of my wife Beena. He used to always, when I used to call him up, first thing he would ask is, Beena kaisi hai? How's Beena? I said, she's fine. So I used to jokingly tease him. मैंने बोला कि भाई साहब कभी मेरे बारे में भी पूछ लिया करो कि मैं कैसा हूँ. तो ही यूज्ड टू से अरे तू ठीक है यार, तू एक काम कर, तू एक्टिंग करता रहे. तो आई यूज्ड टू से आपका ये मतलब है कि मैं एक्टर अच्छा हूँ, गाना अच्छा नहीं गाता? नहीं नहीं, तू एक्टिंग कर, बहुत अच्छी एक्टिंग करता है. यूज्ड टू टीज मी. I remember once we were recording in Sonu's studio. Sonu, he was doing a anthem for the Mumbai anthem, and it was every singer was doing a little part. So I finished my part. I was sitting in the studio, and then Jagjit Bhai was the last. He came. He asked me, तुम क्या कर रहे हो यहाँ पर? मैंने कहा मैं रिकॉर्ड करके बैठा हूँ. अच्छा, तो चलो अंदर आओ. मैंने कहा आप जाइए. Then he went and he did his part, came out, and then I said बैठ जाइए ना, we'll sit and talk. So he sent everybody home, his staff, and it was just him and me, and Sonu was mixing in the studio. So there was a harmonium over there. So he saw it, he said, "Zara nikalo harmonium." And then he said, "वो जरा गाना गज़ल बहुत ही, मैं आपको बताता हूँ, मेहदी साहब की गाई हुई एक बहुत खूबसूरत गज़ल है. गो जरा सी बात पे बरसों के आनाने गए, गो जरा सी बात पर बरसों के याराने गए, लेकिन इतना तो हुआ कुछ लोग पहचाने गए, गो जरा सी बात पर. So we were singing this together. Then he used to say, नहीं ये जगह ऐसी है. मैंने कहा नहीं भाई साहब ये ऐसी है. बोले नहीं यार ये ऐसी है. So we were just exchanging ideas, notes. It was a very private moment, which I will never forget. It went on till 2 o'clock in the morning.
So I remember the first time you actually started teaching online, and I had the honor of breaking that story and publishing it. So this is something I've been wondering since then. So that sacredness of the Guru Shishya Parampara that you actually get when you sit in front of each other and this in-person learning, can that be replicated on screen at all?
This happened during COVID. I was trying to see how I can impart this. And my wife, Beena, she was very, she was after me, you have to teach, you have to pass on this knowledge. But the problem was, how do you do it unless you have an academy, physical academy? It's difficult. Then people, so Zoom came and completely revolutionized internet. So I went on Zoom. I started on the 30th of May 2020 with 6 students, and baat phail di gayi on Zoom live. It is actual real time. When I'm here, the students are there on the batch. They are watching me, they are listening to me, I'm listening to them. So it's like we are all in one room, except that the students are spread all over the world. So today I have about 36, 37 students who I teach personally through Zoom, different batches, and some are one-on-ones. Ustad Shagird Parampara jo hai, how is it kept alive during this, through this medium? It is. These students of mine, some are from the US, some are from India, all over India, Calcutta, Bangalore, Delhi, you name it. I mean, I'm just giving names. I have some students from Amsterdam, from Sweden, and I teach them. And they regard me and they give me that respect as a teacher. And some of them are very talented, and I really get very happy when they can catch on what I'm trying to teach. And I try and teach them what I was taught.
So at a time when the younger generation, especially Gen Z, they are all about, being hooked to 30-second reels and immediate metrics. Do you think a young artist can have the therav that is needed to learn a genre as deep as ghazal? And also, how can they approach this? What is the right way to kind of have that emotional depth that is required to learn the ghazal?
Today is the time of 30-second reels, 1-minute reels, and which is good. Insta zamana hai, Instagram. So the new generation, they're very talented youngsters, amazingly talented, I would say. But they are unfortunately bound by these timings, 1-minute reels, Instagram, 30-second. How can you compress and explain or get the feel of a whole ghazal in 30 seconds or 1 minute? But then that's how it is. You become viral, you're known. The advantage is because of the internet, because of Instagram or Facebook, people from all over the world get to know about you. Otherwise, in those days, we never had this. It was only through recordings, cassettes. It is possible for a musician to get therav, the youngster, singer, the depth. But it will take time. Because क्या होता है कि आप टेक्निकली आप बात सीख लेते हैं. ये देखिए, ये जो है ना, रंजिशें सही दिल ही दुखाने के लिए आए, रंजिशें सही. अब क्या है ये? रंजिशें सही दिल ही दुखाने के लिए आए. This was the beauty of Mehdi Saab's style of singing. That everything what he did was in proportion. Proportion is important. And अगर उसमें खटके दो हैं तो दो ही रहेंगे. रंजिशें सही दिल ही दुखाने के लिए सी लिए रंजिश.
So, unlike classical music, which has academies and proper gharanas to pass it on to the next generation, Ghazal has always relied on, mentorship, like shagirdi, like something that is passed on from one generation to another through teaching, through oral teaching. So, do you think it's imperative for this genre also to have formal institution for taking it to the next generation or to the next century? Or do you think that oral tradition of passing it on from the guru to the shishya, that is enough?
घराना are basically styles. वैसे गज़ल में भी घराने हो गए, समझिए ना. घराना इज बेसिकली somebody is like मेहदी हसन साहब की गायकी, उनका घराना है ये. If you follow that, you follow his style of singing, then you part of that घराना. गुलाम अली भाई, he has his own style, उनका घराना समझिए आप. But we don't have many घरानाज in the world of गज़ल. ये दो मेन हैं. जगजीत भाई, he has his own gharana. The way he used to compose and sing, a lot of youngster singers. The beauty of Jagjit Singh's compositions is that everybody remembers, even a basic listener will react. कल 14वीं की रात थी, सो नीचे बहुत, और फिर तुमको देखा तो ये ख्याल आया. People sing along with you. This is the beauty of his style.
So, acting has always been a parallel profession for you. So, compared to the earlier times, what has changed when you face the camera today?
Acting has been it'll be a parallel profession to me. I do acting. I think I am decent as an actor. I deliver what the director wants me to do. I can't say that I'm a trained actor, I'm a natural actor. I just react. That's what I believe in. Acting is reacting. Reacting to the situation, reacting to your fellow actor, reacting to the atmosphere, whatever you're supposed to say. That's what I am. So, but in the olden days, acting, when I started, was more of dialogue delivery. Like in those olden days, you had stylized acting. I am not a professional actor, so it's not right for me to comment on this field. But whatever I have seen, जैसा कि दिलीप साहब का एक स्टाइल था कहने का अंदाज, and then you had Mr. Bachchan, still is, Shatrughan Sinha साहब. Everybody had a style, as Rajkumar ji. But today it is more of very natural in the sense, even the sound techniques have changed. You have amazing microphones which pick up the smallest of normal sound. In the olden days, you had to express yourself loudly and then do the dub in the studio. But today it's all sync sound, most of it. Even the camera work the lighting is very high resolution camera, so in normal lighting, technique has changed. So I think it's come to more natural. You feel that you're part of you can see how it is being, nobody's acting, they're just being themselves, the character. I got an offer for a film in 1988, 89, sorry, with Mr. Mahesh Bhatt, called Dhun, and it was a father and son love story. Anupam Kher Saab, myself, father and son. It was based on a classic. The film got shot. Unfortunately, the film never released for reasons I can't tell you now. But the music was a big hit. आज भी लोग याद रखते हैं. Lakshmikant Pyarelal scored the music. Anand Bakshi Saab wrote the lyrics. And it was just one of those things. कहते हैं ना कि बशीर बदर साहब का एक शेर याद आता है मुझे कि बरसात में दीवारों दर की सारी तहरीरें मिटी. Tahrir is writing. In those days, people used to write on walls. Nowadays, they send WhatsApps or DM messages. But बरसात में दीवारों दर की सारी तहरीरें मिटी, धोया बहुत मिटता नहीं. तकदीर का लिखा हुआ. तो तकदीर में लिखा नहीं था फिल्म रिलीज होना. I personally believe that one has to have the capability of falling, then picking yourself up and moving forward. That's what I did. I started composing my own albums. I recorded a lot of albums. Then I got entry into television. I did acting. I did music scores. So anyway, I've done a lot of other films also. Gulmohar on Amazon with Sharmila ji, Manoj Bajpayee, with Scam 2003 OTT series.
So, sir, something that grabbed a lot of attention, especially for Gen Z, was you playing Hrithik Roshan's father in Fighter. And you were amazing in that, sir. So, I would love to know what was that like? How was playing Hrithik's father like? Tell us about the bond that you shared with him.
It was a very short role, a cameo, playing Hrithik's father. And in fact, I told the director, why do you want me for this? You can get anybody for this. He said, no, we want you, sir. Because you and Hrithik's pairing is what we are looking at. You know, it's very interesting. There's one scene which was left where he comes home. You must have seen, if you see Fighter, he comes home and I'm watering the garden. That was the whole scene, and in the house. It was a one-day shoot. I waited for a long time because dates were not matching. They needed dates of Hrithik, Deepika, the whole cast, because after that the scenes were in the house. Finally, the date it was supposed to happen, my manager got the call from the production that, so-and-so date. And I was performing in Gurgaon the night before at the Gurgaon DLF club. So they wanted me at 9 o'clock in the studio in Chembur, which was not possible because even if I took the 6 o'clock flight from Delhi, I would land at 8:30. By the time I reached the shoot, it would be post 10. They were so worried. They said, sir, after a long time, we've got this date, so please do something. I said, what can I do? Now, see, fate, Taqdeer ka khel. I landed in Delhi, went to my hotel, the Meridian, and suddenly there was a thunderstorm. A huge thunderstorm, which cancelled my show. It was an outdoor show at the DLF Golf Club. So they said, we'll have to redo it again. Can you imagine? So I immediately told my manager, book me on this flight immediately in the night back to Bombay, and the next morning I was on the set at 9 o'clock. So the thing I remember about the shot, one shot I remember is when Hrithik comes in the taxi. I'm gardening and I turn around and I see him and I'm surprised, and there's a walk between the two of us, and then we hug each other. Then I tell him, okay. Then I sense something is wrong. I said, beta, everything all right? Sab theek to hai na? So that little walk, it took us about 3 hours because, filming is very precise. The lighting, the mark, everything has to be precise. And Hrithik is a perfectionist himself, I think. Because when we did that, just that walk and till we embrace as father and son, he did about 4 takes because he told the cameraman, the DOP, isme lighting, it's... So basically I'm trying to say that we did it as a team, enjoyed it, and people do remember that scene, that warmth. In fact, when we embrace and people said, that chemistry between the father and son looks so real. It was real because in fact Hrithik himself told me, sir, I really felt that bond with you. That bond which, we know each other because of his relationship with Suzanne and our relationship with the Khan family. But, I don't meet him on and off, once in a while. But he's very respectful and I really enjoyed this scene. That's all I can say. So Soumya, I think I have answered most of your questions. I wish you all the best for Between the Notes. I'm sure it'll be a great, great success.
Sir, thank you so much. I mean, I think the beauty of this particular episode is the kind of, hands-on learning that a lot of us are having. Um, it's so it just shows your dedication that you have the harmonium right next to you and you are actually playing it for us. So this means a lot, sir. Thank you.